I think my juices flow all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know as much as I know.
Right now, we've been able to stuff the stuff.
The curse is broken. NC State fans, finally. Finally.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving.
I mean, that's a triple play.
Wolfpack ain't for soft. It ain't for soft people.
If this is the end of the ACC as we know it, if the league is going away, if Florida State is blowing this thing up, then take me out this way, Scott. Look at the top of those ACC basketball standings for men's basketball. You've got North Carolina, 3-0. Wake Forest, 3-0. NC State, 3-0. And then, there's Duke at 2-1. But this is the way that it was supposed to be. This makes me feel whole. If this is the end, let it be the end. Let us end this way.
Maybe back in the 80s, things have changed and gone a little bit different way since the 80s. But I think it's a lot of fun to see. I think it's first and foremost, I think it is good for the ACC. I mean, this is kind of the basketball mecca of the ACC. So just seeing all those teams playing well. Obviously, Wake's playing really, really well. A little bit better than a lot of people have anticipated.
Different team with both of the Gonzaga transfers. Yes.
They just hit on the portal better than most.
Yes,
better than most. So it's fun to see. You got two teams going up against each other coming on Wednesday, both 3-0. So we'll see where it takes us from there.
All right, so NC State gets to 3-0 by beating Virginia at home in a game that we had talked about that I feel like kind of went the way we thought it had to go for NC State in the half court. Although I was surprised in the sense in how well NC State brother-in-law that thing. It was like a golf tournament. They each kind of took turns in the scramble making plays, and I was impressed because the season-long theme that you and I have talked about has been, how do you make the parts fit together? How do you get everybody to buy into their roles? And I think you're starting to see, Ben Middlebrook says a little bit of a stopper. And it was Mo Diarra against Notre Dame, and didn't see as much Mo against Virginia, but seemingly that's okay. And then MJ Rice starting to come around, using his athleticism, using his talent to make an impact on the game. And then the two guards, Jaden Taylor, DJ Horne, driving the bus.
Yeah.
And I think they're getting it's January 9th. And in a different world, they get to take a trip to Italy or wherever you guys went. And you know who each other, you know who everybody is and all these other things, but it's not a reality in the NIL portal world. You got to figure it out on the fly, November, December. And 3-0. Yeah, you can look at that and say Boston College, which not a bad team, is also on the road.
Yeah. Notre
Dame, maybe they do finish last, but not a bad team at home for sure. Yeah. And then a Virginia team who they could very well be on the bubble with. So I was really impressed, and it wasn't some fluke. It wasn't, Scott Wood hitting 7 threes in the Greensboro Coliseum. They just outplayed them, and they beat them.
And I think that's kind of what I've expected out of the team. Now, again, it takes some time to put it all together. I've always said that they've probably got 7 guys, 8 guys, 9 guys that can get quality minutes. So, like you said, just playing your role at the highest of your ability. It's not always going to be your night. Understanding that you got to make a small sacrifice for the team is making this team look really, really good. So, even just watching it, it was probably a 15, 20-point game at the time, but it was, Ben Middlebrooks misses a defensive assignment. Kevin yanks him right away. He puts DJ in. DJ does a phenomenal job. I think they wanted to high hedge. It was a kid for Virginia that hasn't scored in 2 weeks. So they're like, dude, we don't care if he scores. Just take the ball out of the guard's hand. And DJ comes back down and he looks at Ben and he says, "What the hell are you doing, Ben?" And right then and there, Kevin just looks down the bench. He's like, "Hey, man, you made your mistake. Let's not make it again." Puts him right back in. DJ comes out. So I think you can just tell right there that everybody understands, look, this is my role. DJ's not going to be an elite defender. So when Ben's in, he's got to bring that. And they're starting to kind of click. But again, you got a big matchup coming up, and things are easy when you're making shots and everything's going your way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Wednesday.
Yeah, 10 for 28 from 3 in this game. And I'm not even sure that was a big part of what it was, because to me, the game was won in the first half when it was a slog and it was Virginia style. And they were able to say, you know what, we're a better team than you are. And we could beat you in the half court, which I don't think is something at different points in Kevin Keats' tenure that you can sit here and go, well, this is really going to be the strength of the team. They're going to get in these half court sets and they're going to run their stuff and, they're going to defend.
Yeah.
I think this to me is particularly when Middlebrooks is on the floor, this is easily his best defensive team.
Yeah. I just think he's got so many bodies. We've always heard, okay, he wants to get after it. He wants to pressure in the full court, in the half court. When you only got 7 guys that you really trust, it's hard to do that. He's got 10, heck, maybe 11 guys he can just throw out there and get after it. So I think obviously Jaden Taylor being on the point and just hounding the guards, bringing the ball up, plays a big factor.
Bigger body, yeah.
I've always said, making shots, missing free throws, playing really, really aggressive defense is contagious. And I think he just sets the tone. And as soon as you see him picking up full court like that, just turning them, everybody else has a little bit more confidence to kind of step up and pressure a little bit more as well.
We now have 2 disparate results that were both wins. You have the Notre Dame game where you don't play well, but you find a way to win the basketball game, which in my opinion is a confidence builder, because they're, as I like to say about certain players, they're sunny day players, right?
Yeah.
You've played with sunny day players before. Calvin, you've played with sunny day players before, where when it's hot, man, you look good. We're running hot, sun shining, everybody's, my girl looks good in the 3rd row, my other girl looks good in the 9th row, all these other good things, you look good. But when it's not sunny out, man, that's when you got to find a way to win games. And I thought winning the Notre Dame game the way that they did was important. Now you have a sunny day against Virginia, where second half you're like, oh, ooh,
yeah,
who are these guys, right? Dennis Parker, you're not getting 15 points a game from Dennis Parker, right? I mean, that's a little bit of a bonus.
I think it's definitely a bonus, but I also think, again, I think it's a little bit contagious. I mean, he makes that almost half court shot. He comes right back down the court, hits, I think, a transition 3 or a 3 from the corner, and now you're rolling. I've always said, as soon as you see the ball go in, you're a different player, especially if you see it going early. Also
a classic in this one, a Virginia kid. I don't know who dreams of playing for Tony Bennett, but you still do feel slighted, right?
You got 2 of them. Casey's the same way.
Yeah.
They both had chips on their shoulders going into it. There's going to be talk amongst players about, oh, how was your time at Virginia leading up to it? And, so everybody knows about it. So, again, I just think the confidence that they're rolling with right now is really good going into this game. Very similar to what you said. They've won some scrappy, ugly games, which is something you got to do. So the confidence is what I'm excited about going into the Carolina matchup.
Speaking of confidence, you can have confidence that in this market, you need a loan, you need a mortgage, you need to figure out what's going on, you need a refi, you need help, check in with Scott Wood, the most popular player not from an NC State championship team now. You've officially reached that designation in my book.
I don't think that's true.
It is true.
Chris Corciani, Rodney Monroe.
I'm just saying to you, on Saturday,
it's a bold statement.
They went through a lot of names, and then they saved your name for last. Well, and B, the biggest ovation.
Think, honestly, it was big ovation because they're just glad to be out of the rain finally.
Don't undersell it, my friend. Don't undersell it. I was, hey man, as a part of the Law of the Wolf podcast, I'm like, hey, look who I got on the podcast. I got my guy. We're doing okay here. I was glomming off of your success. So let's give people an idea of how you can help them in this wild mortgage game. It's telephone 765-609-0453 or Scott. This is pretty easy. I like this. Scott at scottwood15.com.
Yeah. It's we like to keep it simple for now. The one thing that'll throw everybody off is the telephone number.
Still your Indiana number.
A little bit of an Indiana number, but yeah. it is a real number. So don't think just because I get that a lot, I'll call someone and it'll be like, I just thought it was spam because it said Indiana. So it's not spam. But again, let's start the conversation. I actually sparked a conversation with someone the other day that had listened to the podcast.
Good.
Reached out. Again, they're a little bit ways out on pulling the trigger on something, but at the end of the day, start the conversation.
I was just saying that's okay, because you can't.
100%.
You're not going to wake up like, I'm a terrible planner. Okay. So you're not going to wake up and be like, I'm going to buy a house today.
Yep.
No. You need to figure out what you qualify for.
Yeah.
Right.
I say it's the biggest expense you're ever going to make. So you might as well make sure that it's going the right direction.
Know what you can afford, and then know what your payments are going to be. And then, or maybe you're in a situation where I am and you're like, hey man, I need a cash out refi.
Exactly.
Need some help.
Exactly.
And those numbers are moving in the right direction.
And we are here to help you. Yes.
You are. All right. Speaking of also confidence, UNC is a confident team.
Yeah.
Right now. I thought the Pitt win on the road was, I called it the canary in the coal mine for this team. You know, last year they entered the year #1 overall, expected to win the national championship, expected to win the ACC. They do neither. In fact, they don't even make the NCAA tournament to become the first team since the field expanded to 64 to miss as a preseason #1. So very difficult year, a lot of turmoil over there. Caleb Love famously kind of moves on.
Yeah.
RJ Davis and Armando Bacot, their two stalwarts, return. They've added different pieces now around those two. RJ Davis has emerged as their bus driver.
Yeah.
They have a clear hierarchy over there. And I thought the Pitt game was the canary in the coal mine because Pitt was a team that had pushed them around. Pitt was a team that had bullied them in the past. And Pitt was a team that, quite frankly, called them soft, and maybe not even using that word.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Hubert had been 0-3 against them. So for them to go up there and win in a way, kind of like the Notre Dame game for NC State, where they didn't play great.
Yeah.
Didn't start well, didn't shoot great, but they found a way to win. And then they go to Clemson on Saturday, win another defensive type game, which normally you would expect from Clemson, but not this Clemson team. And this is a high scoring, kind of high flying Clemson team. They go down there and they beat them to get to 3-0. So this is a confident team coming over to Raleigh. And at the risk of, these won't be your scars because I'll save the Gottfried list for another day. But here's Kevin Keats' record against UNC. He's 1-3 against Hubert. He was 2-6 against Royce, 3-9 overall. And if you look, what's interesting to me now, he's won 2 of the last 3 over at PNC. Look at the scores of those games. And I can, if you're on the YouTubes, you can see it, but I'll say it. Last year was 77-69, 77. The 21, the pandemic game, 79-76. So as we've talked more and more about this particular team and how they want to win and how they can play in the half court, I think this comes down to how do you now RJ Davis is the bus driver. I see Jaden Taylor being assigned to RJ Davis.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got enough kryptonite there that we could give him some issues. We just have so many guards that can defend at a high level. I mean, Casey, we have not talked about
because he's been struggling with his shot, and we love to assign,
but he's
someone's
always
value.
Going to be an elite defender as well. So I think they're going to have. I mean, RJ Davis is going to have his just strictly on volume, and he has to score for them to find success. But again, I said it last year. If they can find a way to limit Bacot, DJ can find a way to guard him in the first half without getting in foul trouble, I think they have a real shot. But again, it's going to be that first half for me. Is DJ going to pick up 2 fouls early and be, a little bit silly, or is he going to be smart and understand that, okay, if I have to give up 4 points in the first half to Bacot to get to the second half so that I could play the majority of the minutes second half, I think they got a shot because he's going to give Bacot just as many problems as Bacot's going to give him.
I think the difference this year is it doesn't have to be DJ. And I think this is the game-to-game proposition that kind of Kevin can play now.
Yeah.
Like there's some games where the big boy, we need you, man.
I agree.
And I think there's some games now.
I think the same thing, though. I think offensively and half-court offensively, they're much better. They've found ways to score more and in different ways. But I also think that he creates so many mismatches and he gets so much attention, like even to the point where he gets a post touch, double teams come, they're in rotation automatically. So it makes it so much easier for Jaden Taylor, Casey, Horne to get in the gaps and be able to create because they already have an advantage because of that double team. I think that's the part, especially in the half court, that he helps them so much with, that he draws that attention. As soon as he touches the ball, it's double team or dig, and now the defense is already at a disadvantage.
You know how the whistle's going to go in this game, though. That's where I think the good thing for State is they have some bodies to throw at Bacot. I think you foul him. I think you hack-a-shack him, for goodness sake. Or you see what Meadowbrooks and Diarra can do on him. I thought we did not see a lot of Diarra against Virginia, but that doesn't mean he again. This should be a game-to-game proposition.
Middlebrooks
for State.
Middlebrooks is going to be the better matchup, I think. But again, I think DJ, because Bacot's really not going to drag you out as much as a PJ Hall or spread the floor like Notre Dame did in the first half. I think it's just going to be a better matchup for him. So again, to me, it's almost a wash as long as DJ can be smart enough not to get in foul trouble.
One thing I will say that I like the last 4 games for State, DJ Burns' minutes, 23, 20, 24, 22. And they've won all 4 of those games. St. Louis, Detroit, Notre Dame, Virginia.
Yeah, and I know it was a topic of conversation. Murph, the strength conditioning, I remember when I was still calling the games, he's always there at half. He's like, DJ's playing a little bit too much. We're trying to get his. But again, at the end of the day, man, you gotta have your best players out there. The bulk of it, especially in those tight ones. I mean, they had those 3 big non-conference games that I know they really wanted to get one of them. So I think that's a reason too. That 33
minutes, 33 against Tennessee, 35 BYU, 27 Ole Miss was
on
a
top.
wash.
They're still they know what DJ's going to give them. They were still at that point still trying to figure out, okay, what's Ben going to give us? What's Mo going to give us?
Sure.
So, I think
it's a balancing act, though.
I think that's
DJ,
the part
in particular.
Well, I need them to just be able to make someone score over you on defense. That's all I need. Score over you. They score over you. We're living with it. And then when you're on the offensive end, be elite.
I think last year they were able to hide him a little bit with Nance, and they attacked Nance last year. Like Nance was a clown.
Yeah.
I think that game last year in Raleigh, in particular, the win was on Pete Nance. Like they absolutely isolated and went after him.
Yeah.
I think this is a different Carolina team. It's interesting. Their guards, you mentioned Marcus Page. I've talked a lot about Marcus Page this year and Elliot Cadeau. And the game in 13, Marcus Page's first game over in Raleigh, was a real struggle. Zoe either had a triple-double or real close to a triple-double in that game. That was the game you guys won 91-83.
He's given a lot of people troubles. Don't feel bad.
No, I know, but you saw the progression from that point because then you guys played them in Chapel Hill, and then he outplayed Zoe.
Yeah.
And played well in the game. So you look at their guards other than Davis, Cormac Ryan, a 7th, 8th, 20th year college guy. Like, I just want him and O'Connell to stand at half court and point at each other. The 2 Stanford transfers. Ryan, can he hit some shots? When he does, they're pretty good. I mean, they're kind of, he's a little bit of a steady Eddie. Then Cadeau is like a Marcus Page. He's built like a Marcus Page.
Yeah.
And when you're slight like that, it's hard to come in and have an, 5-star guy, this whole thing, but you're asking a whole lot of him. Now, I say this, and we've seen this before where that point guard comes over and plays really well in Raleigh. I mean, listen, this series, if I just sound defeated here on a Tuesday, it's because this series has been so lopsided.
Yeah.
It's just bonkers.
But I would say historically, if you go down the line and you look at the style of play for NC State and the style of big that NC State has traditionally had, it's a very mobile, move around big. I've always said, even back when I was playing Carolina with Roy and some of the bigs that they had, whether it be Zeller, whether it be
John Henson was a nightmare for you guys.
Henson, you go down the list and it was always never a good matchup. Yeah. They could get out because we had bigs that could, break you down and rip and go from the outside. They could guard it. Like, then I look at the Duke side. Duke always had that big, slow, sluggish big. And I'm like, okay, we can kind of have an advantage. That's what I've always said. I've always said Carolina was just a bad matchup. And that's why I look at the size. For granted, it's different coach, different kind of system. DJ will match up with Bacot fine. Ben will match up with Bacot fine. There's nothing there. Now, he can still go out and get 20 and 12. He's just that good of a player. But it's not going to be a glaring mismatch. And I think that's the big point. They're just going to even out. So now the rest is who's going to make more plays than the other team.
I think that's where those other ancillary guards come from. Casey Morsell,
Yep.
DJ Horne, Jaden Taylor. We haven't seen in this type of matchup yet. How do the building's going to be full too? And I hate to say it, that a lot of these guys who haven't been here, they're going to see a completely different environment on Wednesday than they've seen at any other point in their careers here at NC State. So it's like, that'll be different too. And Carolina's already played in games like this. They're an older team. This is not a game that's going to intimidate them, So I look at it and I go, these are the kind of games though that I think NC State's going to need to put in. They now, without BYU, without Tennessee, you have to have Carolina, you have to have Duke, you have to have a Miami or a Clemson. And given that the Miami and Clemson games are on the road, and given what they look like typically at Clemson, this is dangerously close to a must-win game on Wednesday night.
I mean, I'd say first and foremost,
I thought Saturday was
you
too,
can't
by the
lose
way.
by 10. You can't lose by 10 plus. But I'd be willing to say that this is a big game. They gotta find a way to get this one, in my opinion.
If they win this game, we did this for the Virginia game. If they win this game, they win because.
Oof. I think if they win this game, it's because someone we're not thinking of is able to put 10 to 15 points together. I just think that
somebody's the Wolfpack hero for a day, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, is it does Parker go for 15 again? Does Michael Connell come out and knock 2 threes down like he did against Virginia?
See Cormac Ryan and say, "Hey, match up with you in practice. I got you."
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to come from. But because I just think that DJ's going to be a wash with Bacot, and then if they handle RJ Davis, I think that's going to be a wash between some of those guards. So maybe even DJ Horne goes big, has a big night.
Oh, speaking of DJ Horne, after these words, we'll have a conversation with DJ Horne. Perfect segue, Scott Wood. Scott Wood 15 for all, scottwood15.com for all of your lending needs, mortgage needs. Scott Wood. I won't see you on the message board on Wednesday night, but I would find that. I would communicate with them and send it. maybe I'll get Tony in to help it out and get that sent over to the family. So Raleigh Wood and Trey have that clip to see that. Yeah, Dad was popular once.
Yeah, the funny thing is they freak out for some reason, especially when I was commentating the first 15 seconds I'd be on the TV. He's on TV. I'm like, yeah, I've been there a couple times. Not that big a deal. So now we'll record her and put it on the phone, put it on TV, so she freaks out. She
there we go.
She's famous.
Well, Raleigh Wood is and will be. Get those genes. Come on now.
Let's hope.
All right, Scott. We'll have this conversation with DJ Horne, but you and I will be back next week right here for more Law of the Wolf. But right after these words, we'll have DJ Horne right here on Law of the Wolf. It's year 3 for me for an NC State podcast, and there isn't a Law of the Wolf without the OG. Hayes Lancaster, Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. You got bugs inside the house. You got them outside the house. You got moisture. You got mice. You name it. They can handle it. They also believe in saving you money. So bundle. Go to bugsbite.com and save yourself some money and protect your house while you're in the process of doing all those things. Hayes Lancaster, again, big supporter of NC State athletics and a big supporter of Law of the Wolf. Now, maybe you're new to the area. Maybe you're looking to get into new construction in the area. Again, you want to save yourself some money? Go to Hometown Realty. It's myhtr.com. 6 locations, more than 250 agents. You want to get into that new construction? More than 60% of their business is in that new construction. You want to beat the frenzy that's coming with these lower rates? Do yourself a favor. Go to myhtr.com. You can buy, sell, calculate. Of course, once you buy that house, you're going to need to close on it. Or maybe you're like me. You got traffic tickets. Maybe they're not all your fault. Josh Whitaker, Joe Hamer can handle those things for you too. Whitaker and Hamer, Josh is a big State fan. I know. Believe it or not, there are lawyers out there that are State fans, and they didn't all go to Carolina. So go check them out. Support them. It's wh.lawyer. They have the world's greatest URL. It's wh.lawyer. And of course, if you're headed over to PNC Arena on Wednesday night, right there, one of their 17 locations in North Carolina is the Breeze Through on the corner of Edwards Mill and Trinity. All your pregame needs, all of your tailgate needs, all of your morning needs, all of your gas needs, pretty much all of your needs. They have them covered at the Breeze Through. So check them out there on Wednesday and every day, wherever your travels take you. Joining me now on the Hiester Automotive Group hotline, DJ Horne, NC State guard. And DJ, I think maybe I've been given some bad information. I thought there was some Garner in your background. That is the number one reason I asked Craig to talk to you. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
Yeah, man. Nah, I mean, definitely got a lot of relationships with some Garner folks. Basketball world, you meet a lot of people. So living out there for the short period of time that I did, I was able to meet a lot of people that did go to Garner though. And playing for Garner Road, and overlap with some of them. Yeah, I played for Garner Road.
Perfect.
That was my AAU program.
Okay, so Garner Road, you were at Cary High School for a little while, Trinity Christian down in Fayetteville, and it's been a college journey for you. Illinois State in Normal, Illinois. What was Normal like?
Well, for me, it was everything, and that was my first taste of getting to leave the nest for the first time. So when I got there, just getting a little taste of freedom, that was a big transition for me. But it definitely, for compared to North Carolina State, Illinois State was just more like a small college town feel. It's really nothing there but the campus and everything like that. So I was able to get I would say a good experience for what a college town felt like.
So after 2 years there, you end up at Arizona State playing the Pac-12. Just kind of your thoughts on the Pac-12 going away after this year, and just what your experience was like playing there, because obviously it's a little bit higher level than Illinois State.
Yeah, definitely Illinois State, I felt like got me to a level where I could compete at that in the Pac-12. So when I went to the transfer portal, Bobby Hurley had reached out and everything, and for me, I was just kind of looking to make that next jump in my game, playing at the next level. So that's kind of ultimately what led into me going there. And yeah, man, Tempe, Arizona is a nice place to be. It gets hot, so I mean, when you adjust to that, everything else is lovely, man. Couldn't really complain anything about that. The basketball, it went good. My first year out there, we didn't do too hot, but second year, we turned things around and we were able to make the tournament. So left out of there on a good note. And everything else is still on a good note with everybody out there. So. No bad blood or anything. And, I got my degree from Arizona State. So, part of that is home out there too. So,
in addition to coming back to Raleigh, you had a connection with Joel Justice at Arizona State. Is how much of that was a factor in where you decided to spend your final year of college?
Yeah, Joel being here already definitely played a part in, me coming here, it made me feel comfortable and everything like that. When Joel was working out there with me in Arizona, me and him built a relationship very, very quickly. He had some ties with Kentucky. So, definitely a guy who has some connections, been around some guys that's, where I'm trying to get to. So, definitely somebody that, I just want to soak up all the knowledge I can from him. And yeah, man, he's an offensively minded coach. So, he's always in my ear and, to try to help me get better on that end of the floor.
When you were making your choice, how much did you know about NC State last year and the success they had with Jarkel Joyner and Jaquavion Smith, and how Kevin Keats likes to put his guards in a position to really kind of drive the team and have success?
Yeah, man. I definitely was able to keep up with them a lot. I played with Greg Gant he was at Trinity, so he was there. Just with it being the hometown team, couldn't really miss how they were doing. And seeing Taquavion and Jarkel be able to put up, a significant amount of points like that. I think they both averaged around like 17 points a game. That's got to be some freedom coming from your coach to let you go out there and hoop. So seeing that those guys were both leaving, I knew that it was going to open up a lot of opportunity. And for it to be that much opportunity in my hometown team, I couldn't really pass that up.
You guys are coming off of a 76-60 win over Virginia on Saturday. Really a great team win for you. A lot of the different pieces, we're starting to see you guys kind of come together. And then it's got to be hard. I know you're at Illinois State one year, Arizona State another, and now NC State. And there's so many new parts, but it does feel like you guys are starting to hit your stride. What has that adjustment been like? And how do you feel like where you guys are chemistry-wise in terms of really starting to figure out how to play together and what makes the team really work?
Yeah, man. I would just say, that's just credit to, Keats and having us in the gym, putting in some good work. I feel like we're one of the hardest working team in the country, and that started all the way back in like May. So just knowing how hard we work, how hard Keats has pushed us, and to see it starting to pay off now, I just want to give credit to him. And guys, we like each other on and off the court. So I think that also plays a big part. And just with my 4 years of experience, in order to win, you gotta like the guys you're out there playing with and everything like that. So I feel like we were able to, click and build that chemistry pretty fast. And with me, I kind of knew some of the guys on the team already, just from being around the area and everything like that. So it was a pretty easy transition for me. But I knew we were gonna have our ups and downs, especially coming into the season, just with it being a new team. But I'm glad that we were able to figure it out pretty quickly.
When you have a game like you guys did against Notre Dame, where you don't shoot well as a team and you're kind of struggling and you're trailing the whole game, but then you find a way to win in the last minute. What's the confidence level like after you kind of steal one like that on the road?
Yeah, I was just about to say that, man. To get a road win anywhere is, a pretty hard thing to do. So the fact that we've done that twice already, it's big. And, like you mentioned, the Notre Dame game, it was a mobile game. I would say, my words, coming off the break. And the fact that we were still able to find a way to win just, shows us how, if we, first off, would have came out there and played good, we could have, just won the game and it not been that close. But, just showing that, like, nobody was going to lay down and just, quit. And that shows that we kind of had that fight, and teams you're gonna have to have that, if you're gonna want to be a team that's playing deep into March.
You grew up in the Triangle. You understand the Triangle. You've probably watched dozens of NC State, North Carolina games. You looking forward to the playing in your first one Wednesday night over at PNC?
Oh yeah, man, I can't wait. It's all I've been thinking about. I know it's gonna be crazy energy in them. Probably watched the UNC NC State game from last year probably like 10 times just to try to get a vibe of what it's gonna look like. But I don't think I'll really be able to compare it until I step in there for myself. I'm looking around and just feeling that energy from Wolfpack Nation.
At the risk of getting you in trouble, which side were you on growing up? Which one were you rooting for?
I don't think I've probably told the media anything up until this point, but honestly, I grew up a Duke fan, so
Duke,
NC State definitely. I like watching NC State play,
sure.
but my dad was a heavy Duke fan, so just him kind of showing me and bringing me into the basketball world. That's kind of who I just grew fond to, but definitely once I started, playing for myself in college, whatever team I was playing on, that was my
Sure.
favorite team.
Did Bobby Hurley? Did you have any kind of? He's probably too old for you to remember how good he was, but I'm sure if you grew up a Duke fan, your dad was probably pretty pumped about playing for Bobby Hurley.
Oh yeah, man. For him, when I committed to Arizona State, he was just, oh, you're gonna play for the best point guard ever to come to Duke and everything like that. That's my school, man. So when you get out there, soak up all the knowledge you can, just play at the highest level. So, and for me, that wasn't really like my era to be watching basketball, but you definitely about the greats. If you get into the basketball world, you're gonna know who was there before you, and who was making a lot of noise. And he was definitely one of those guys. To win the national championship. That's like the peak. So it was great. Playing for him and just learning from him every day.
I don't know how much you followed it last year at Arizona State when you guys were trying to get into the NCAA tournament. Are you a amateur bracketologist? Do you follow all of those things as you're in it, or you just kind of try to, the old cliche, pick them off one at a time and then take each game one at a time?
You know, especially with that being my first year playing in it, you know, I was just kind of take it game by game. But you know, now that I've played in it, kind of know how it works now. You know, I'm probably more into it as far as like, you know, how the teams get shaped up and everything. But for me, making it last year, that was just, you know, like that was one of my goals. So I was just on cloud nine to be there.
Obviously, that's one of the team's goals this year. How much do you guys talk about some of these games? Obviously, Carolina, Duke, Miami, Clemson, Virginia from Saturday. They do seem to hold a little bit more weight with how you guys will be able to get into the NCAA tournament. So just kind of curious, as players in it, you know, how much do you guys actually talk about what it means, each game means for your tournament chances?
Oh yeah, you know, we definitely go out there and just win, but you know, when it comes down to you want to play in March, there's other things that go into that. So you know, we definitely learned about the net. We know about the net. We know about, you know, how many quad one wins you need and all that stuff. So we know that in the non-conference we had some opportunities to knock out some big time quad one wins. But you know, couldn't get that done. But definitely still have some opportunities in conference, and we've definitely been locked in to you know, take care of business. And you know, when those teams come up on our schedule, you know, those are the games we got to lock in for.
All right, DJ Horne, appreciate you taking some time with me. Now, before I let you leave, though, I asked the big boy, DJ Burns, like, who's the real DJ on the team? And he said, we're both DJ. He was
I'm
not
about to say,
not committal. Are you the real DJ?
You know, I can't really step on any toes. You know, when he gets the ball and you hear the whole PNC arena start going crazy, you know who the real DJ is, man. But, you know, from day one, you know, he's been showing me love. Wolfpack Nation's been showing me love. So, you know, we keep this thing rolling. I think it'll be the DJ so soon. So, you know, hopefully you gotta keep winning to get it there. But, you know, I think it's on the right track.
There's room for all of the DJs. DJ Horne, appreciate you taking some time, man. Best of luck this week, and we'll catch up down the road. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me.
Shit, be happy we won.
And be happy we did a podcast this week. A good podcast. We had Scott Wood. We had DJ Horne. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button right there. If you're not following us already on Apple, Spotify, the Googles, you name it, whatever your favorite podcast platform is, do me a favor, do all those things, rate, subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do to support us. Appreciate everyone for doing all those good things. And we'll be back next week. We'll be back actually next week on Wednesday because there's a basketball game on Tuesday. So next Wednesday, we'll be back with another edition of Law of the Wolf.
Wolfpack ain't for soft. It ain't for soft people.